And 72% of the time the market goes up. And the answer came to me. And that's when I developed my chart. The answer came to me is because, just like Caterpillar, when they pull their money out, you get out. Whoa.
It's your daily dose of how to manage your money. And now it's time for Phil's Gang on the Off the Wall Street Network.
Oh, God. Are you nuts?
With your host, Phil Grande.
Bye. Good afternoon, gang. All right, and welcome to my podcast, gang and non-gang members. Sorry about that. Okay, just looking at something here about, I don't know if you saw it or not, that they're talking about, let me get it up here for you. They're talking about countries, the four big Gulf countries, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Kuwait, Qatar, are discussing withdrawing from the U.S. Investments and so forth. They're not threatening. I'll explain that to you in a bit, but let's get to the biggest story that no one wants to talk about today. This is amazing to me. It's amazing to me that all the crap these people talk about on these financial TV shows, these jibber jabbers, the biggest risk to bondholders ever is upon us, okay? And no one's talking about it. I mean, unbelievable. So anyways, what do I mean by the biggest risk to bondholders now is inflation? Because you got these spiking oil prices, but they can't raise rates. Powell can't raise rates to stop the inflation. And remember, the one thing is that when you have, when you're in a position, you keep telling everybody how great your economy is, and it's not great. And when something like this happens, where you got the bondholders sitting there saying, we're not going to buy any more bonds because I'm taking a lot of risk here, risk on, all this inflation. So I need higher rates. I need higher rates. And then the people who are going to, like a lot of people are jumping out of their safety net stocks like Coca-Cola, all these staples, Clorox. And that's another thing that you got to be very careful buying into those stocks. I know everybody jumps into Clorox with the sound and dance and Coke and Pepsi and all that. Oh, everybody needs this. They have to clean their house. They've got to eat. That's all BS because remember, those stocks they're staples, but they're risk on. And if you're getting, right now, those kind of staples get an average of 4.5%. And with risk, you can go now and get a bond for, 4.11, 4.18 with little risk. And this is why you're seeing this. Here, I'll show you. It's going on my chart. I'll show you. So if you see, for example, like these were supposed to be all your big safety. These are supposed to be all your big safety nets, okay? So like let's take Coke, for example. Okay, so you got Coke. And if you look at Coke, you can see how Coke is rolling over. Let's get it up here. There we go. Coke, come on. All right, so the point is you got Coke, there you go. So Coke is rolling over, all right? Why? Because they're rotating it. In other words, all these big pension funds and all these, mostly the pension funds and 401ks, and they're loaded with this stuff. Staples, Coke, Pepsi, Clorox. Everybody, all the managers put their clients in this crap. But the problem is, the reason they're rolling over, if you're worried about it, and you're wondering, why is it going down? Coke's safe. Everybody still drinks Coke and all that. Well, because you got, here, I'll give you another one. Look at Clorox. I'll give you one more. CLX. That's why I stay away from these. I always tell my gang members I stay away from these. There's Clorox again. Look at it. They're giving back all their beautiful gains they had there. Look at that. And people are wondering, well, why? Because isn't that safe? Isn't that where I'm supposed to go when things don't look good? Well, you got to understand, as I said, those are risk on. And that means even if you're getting 4.5%, you look at the 10-year Treasury yield, and 10-year Treasury at 4.18. Of course, you're going to dump your dividends on Clorox and Coke, and you're going to go to the 10-year Treasury yield because you're going to be much safer because, again, you have no risk with those. So that's a lot of it today. And people are stunned. They don't understand why would people get out of Coke and all that. Well, that's the reason right now, because they're competing with these yields. Now, the other thing that's going on, okay, yields are at 4.15, 4.18 today. Then they went back down to 4.111, I believe. But inflation's running at 3 to 4%. So if you're in a bond right now, okay, your return's going to be zero. So what's happening is you know you're not going to make any money until the bond market gets up to 4.75 to 5%. That's where it has to go. In the meantime, you got the people in the bonds saying, I'm not going to buy anymore. The people who want to buy said, I'm not going to buy anymore. And then that means yields keep going up because nobody's buying. And they're just going to wait until the yields get up to 4.75, 5%, and they're going to back the truck up and buy a lot of yields. But people that there's a big misunderstanding over yields, okay? So oil spiking, the biggest risk to the bondholders we ever had. I mean, my God, oil going up 40% in 1 week, that's insane. So now, again, if you look at the returns, okay, of the that you're getting, I'm trying to find you some stocks here. Let's see, give me 1 second here. Okay, I had a couple stocks for you. I'm going to go over with you. Let me just find them here for a second. Right, here we go. Okay, so the big problem with the bond market, okay, and right now it's broken. The safe haven people aren't showing up anymore to buy bonds for their safe haven. So you got, as I say, oil spiking. Associated with that is inflation. Powell can't stop it by raising rates, okay, because the economy's not doing good. He can't cut rates either. So again, this is a very serious thing that's going on, and nobody's really talking about it, okay, as to, you know, like it's just a 1 day event or 2 day event. It's not. This could be very serious. When bond buyers strike, they can be for quite a long time because they'll sit there and remember how yields work. If you buy, the yields go down. When you buy a bond, yields go down, right? Well, when you got all these people getting together, so let's not buy bonds, do you realize what happens to the economy? And when yields start going up, that's interest rates start going up, that really takes a big bite out of the economy. So let's go and take a look at all right. And as I said, if you really want when people really pay attention to buying treasuries, buying yields, is when you hit that 4.75 to 5%. Okay, that's when they really take a look at it. And the oil that's driving this inflation, and remember, it's not wages, okay? This is oil driving this inflation. So it's just, this is not good at all. And also, if you look at the energy stocks, that's what I wanted to show you. If you look at the energy stocks, take like CVX. If you notice how, this is one of our stocks right here. We did very well with this. But CVX is doing terrific, right? Okay. But remember, CVX, they don't get the oil out of the ground, okay? They'll hire to get out of the ground, okay, like Halliburton and Schlumberger and those guys. And they're not doing well. So what's that telling you? And I'll show you their stocks, for example. If you look at, here, I'll put it up for you. Let's take a look at Schlumberger, for example. or Baker. That's another good one. So Schlumberger, if you take Schlumberger, okay, or if you take Schlumberger, or you take, what was the other one we were working with today? Baker, okay, BKR. Any of these that takes the oil out of the ground. See how they're rolling over? So we caught these on the way up because what do we watch? The fundamentals? Of course not. Fundamentals are dead, okay? The only reason they keep talking about fundamentals so they can keep their industry alive. That's why they talk about fundamentals. They haven't been using fundamentals since 2008. And if they also, remember, Wall Street is storytelling. Fundamentals give them stories to tell. And if you really understood what was going on, the fundamentals do not move price. It's institutional money that moves price. Then you wouldn't pay any more for those newsletters and all the advice they give you, and it's all bogus because you just got to follow the money. And this tells you here, take this stock here, Baker. The point is the stock was going up quite well, right? Okay, because they're drilling. Now when oil prices started to go up, you got to say, well, why is Baker stock coming down? Why is Schlumberger stock coming down? Because they know something. They know that, okay, remember, they're the ones that get hired to take the stuff out of the ground. So they're saying, well, I don't think these oil prices are going to last long. So that's why you're not seeing their stocks go up. So you're seeing oil go up, but you're not seeing the people who take the oil out of the ground going up. You're see them roll over. So you got to really watch that. They'll end up possibly being shorts. So if you're in these, remember, that means a lot when they're pulling back like that, because that's a sign that they don't believe these oil prices are going to last that long. So that's something you really got to watch. So, and the other ones, where we're really doing well, and you should do too, is on all the banks. We've been shorting all the small banks, and those have been doing great for us. Okay, and like Truist Banks, that's a great short for us. FITB is a great short for us. You got to learn how to short, man. FITB is a great. Key's been a great short for us. We shorted Goldman Sachs. We shorted Morgan Stanley. Now, how do we not find these stocks to short? Okay, and if you miss these, we're going to find a lot more because we don't follow again fundamentals. We don't care about price to earnings and free cash flow and all that crap because that doesn't move the stock price a penny. That stopped in 2008, and that became the job of the big institutions, the 13 institutions who push their money through 13 channels that go directly to the stock they're buying. They buy that stock back. And when they buy that stock, we know exactly what stock they're buying and selling, okay, through price and volume and momentum. So this again, you can see how the momentum is breaking down in the stock. So all I'm saying is what we got going on here today in the last couple of days and this week when oil's going up 40%, it's being driven, it's all being driven, okay, by, again, this war, Iran. We understand that. But remember, oil prices are going up already, not based on demand. They're going up based on they were cutting back production, Russia and the Saudis. So when oil was going up earlier, and believe me, we've been in XLE and XOP and SLB, all those stocks for a long time. They were going up, but not because oil was needed, just the opposite. Because our economy wasn't growing, okay, oil was going up because of the cutback. Now you lay on top of that what's going on, where all of a sudden the bond market says, the bond people say, I don't want to buy any more bonds, okay, because all this inflation is going up because of oil prices are going to push inflation up. That's risk for me. I want you to give me higher yields. So, as I said, so nobody's buying bonds, and as long as that yield keeps going up higher and higher, the first thing it hits is gasoline. And then after that, manufacturing. But it hits gasoline first. And then everything starts to explode. Prices, the whole deal. So, and going back to what's going on with the with that letter from these countries, uh, it's not really a threat what's going on, okay? They're just saying, look, we're getting hit, okay, with this war, and we're losing money over this war, uh, and and they're just upset about it, but they're not. The way the press makes it sound like they're threatening, they're going to pull all the money out of the United. They're not going to do any of that. This is all garbage talk, okay? They're just letting the president know that they're very worried. It's costing them money, but wouldn't it cost them more money if Iran had a nuclear weapon and shot it at Saudi Arabia or Kuwait or UAE? Don't they understand that? No, they understand it. So don't even bother with that. Follow the bond market and you'll always be right. See you on the charts. Have a good weekend.
Are you nuts?